Welcome in to Voice of the Fat Mantis, and you're watching my review of Star Trek Strange New Worlds Episode 8, The Elysian Kingdom. Star Trek has about 4 subgenres that they usually tackle episodes of. They are usually political thrillers, usually involving the Romulans or Klingons, commando-style militaristic ones where a lot of action or wrestling goes down, old school martial arts and stuff like that. And then there's cerebral ones, which dominate the amount of episodes, where they're ones that make you think. There's not necessarily action, but your mind is running. And the final one are zany, over-the-top cornball comedy. And that is what the Elysian Kingdom is. Cornball comedy. Am I against it? I am not. Did I love this episode? I did not. But it has nothing to do with the zany predicament that the crew finds themselves after entering a nebula. They appear to take on the life and characters of fantasy fairy tale stories that Dr. Mabanga usually reads his daughter. Now, before we get into the nitty and the gritty, I need you to smash that like button. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to Voice of the Fat Mantis so that I can keep giving you Star Trek awesomeness. Now, getting into it. So, it starts with the humble and sad story of Mabanga and his daughter. And to be honest, that storyline tends to make me misty-eyed. It's a really sad situation. His daughter is eternally locked in a transporter buffer, not because she's necessarily stuck there out of an accident. It's on purpose because she has a horrible disease that's ripping her apart. She's limited time in this universe, so Mabanga usually takes just a short time out of his day to always rematerialize her and read her a bedtime story. Her days are numbered unless he can find a cure. After being exposed to some chemicals he was working on that he wanted to attempt a cure with, he finds that the entire ship has become a group of fantasy characters. At first, from the trailer, I thought it would be Game of Thrones style, but it's not. It's more of like a fairy tale, like a children's book. And this normally would play for major laughs. Lots of characters and who they become, these new personalities, should have been hysterical. Fortunately, they didn't. And I gotta tell you, this cast, they would not ever be allowed into an ensemble of Game of Thrones or a spinoff or something. They have no fantasy chops whatsoever. The only character who really did it well was La'an, and that's because she's already British, and British accents go for this. But with their American accents and just the casual nature they read the lines, I could kind of tell they were not taking this seriously. And that's what I need. If they get turned into fantasy characters, I want to see British accents and I want them to ham up their characters. Now, obviously, Captain Pike's new character was supposed to be a Littlefinger type character because he's like treacherous and silver-tongued, but he was just Pike playing make-believe. And it just wasn't, nothing was selling on me. Obviously, Hemmer killed it because he got to play himself. He was immune to the effects due to his psychic abilities. And I really enjoyed the comedy of him. Hemmer, who is normally a curmudgeon and not a very fun guy, was enjoying the fantasy setting, and he was taking it as a game. While Mabanga thinks this is very seriously, he needs to find his daughter as she has vanished mysteriously from the pattern buffer. As it turns out, a super-powered cosmic imp has taken control of the ship and is lonely and wants to play make-believe with his daughter. And it found her in the pattern buffer. This is typical Trek, and I have no problem with it. There are amazing, great stories of Q and other guys who do stuff like this. However, the thing that really got me was the end. Now, obviously, you're watching this for spoilers. But at the very end, Entity says, I can take your daughter into the nebula and give her any type of reality I want because I'm a reality bender. I want to take your daughter away and it will cure her of her horrible disease. I will give her a life you cannot give her. And Mabanga ultimately goes along with it. And I was kind of sold on it. However, I do believe that a parent would fight way harder to keep their child next to them and safe. I mean, you don't know anything about this alien. This alien could be like a child molester or something. We don't know anything about the alien. So I thought it was a little shady that he just is like, okay, sure, I do want her. We all want her to live. But would he really abandon his daughter? Which is why I really think they should have made contact with the Entity earlier. And it should have been a longer amount of time that he struggles with whether he's going to let his daughter continue down this path. Now, he does it. And I was settling into the concept that the daughter was leaving. And I was like, you could have some tears or, pretend to be sad or something. He's just kind of like staring. And suddenly she rematerializes as an adult that doesn't really look like the daughter. And I was once again taken aback. I'm like, what's going on? She ends up living her life into adulthood. And they got rid of that really cute little girl in exchange for this other actress. Now, this actress isn't going to stay on the ship. She leaves. But clearly, this is setting up a reoccurring where she comes and visits with her cosmic best friend, Deborah. I just really wish that they had kept it a child. I understand that it's hard to work with children. Children, they age so quickly. So within 6 months, kids can go through growth spurts and seem like they've aged out of a role when they really haven't. I know that's rough, but honestly, I like the first actress, and I think the story is cuter, her being a little girl. I would love it if his little daughter continued to visit him throughout the series. His adult daughter, significantly less cute. I just thought it was a strange conclusion to this episode. Ultimately, I gotta say, this is the worst episode of the lot. There is some salvaging in it. I thought it was really cute when the Woodland Archer character, played by Rebecca Romaine, ends up having a implied affair with Ortega's Knight character. And they continue to make jokes that they have gotten it on and they're together and they're exes and can they really be together? And I thought it was adorable. Now it turns out that those characters aren't supposed to be together in the book. And so Mbenga's like, what does this all mean? And so I'm starting to theorize. There are already rumors on the internet that Rebecca Romaine's #1 character is playing a lesbian. It is possible that she's going to have a lesbian affair. Now everyone has been chanting and really wanting her and La'an to get together. I'll tell you right now, totally inappropriate. Absolutely inappropriate. She was a lieutenant on the USS King Jr. when she saved La'an, who was a little girl at the time. So she dwarfs her by age by at least 10 to 15 years. And I just think that might be an inappropriate dynamic going on there. Now, there is another way to do it. Ortega. Now, I believe Ortega is not as young as La'an. And I think it is very possible that this could be hinting that secretly they have a desire for each other, and that could be a future relationship that we see. Now, we don't know anything about Ortega. I think, unfortunately, because of the way her hair is and the way she presents, I think a lot of people assume she's queer-coded. She could be. I don't know. I don't like to assume things like that. It can go either way. I don't know. I do think they would be an adorable ship. That would be pretty cool if it actually happened. And I thought that was probably the most fascinating and fun thing that happened in this episode. Ultimately, I'm going to give this episode like a C. It's not a horrible view. I didn't waste an hour of my life. It wasn't like certain science fiction that I've been watching on Disney Plus lately, but it is decent. This is my first stumble, I believe, that I've encountered on Strange New Worlds. The real question is, what did y'all think about it? Please let me know down in the comments. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to Voice of the Fat Manta so we can get more into all this Trek stuff, so we can ship characters, and we can finally find out who on this ship is a lesbian. I'm kidding. We want to know who everyone is getting with. We don't care about their sexuality. Until next time, guys, ciao for now.